Today is Saturday, April 29th, 2023. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 44, Week 9. Almost his season 44.
Yes, this is our listener feedback show. We do recaps on Wednesdays. So we go back through and walk through, temporarily walk through. That's based on time. Walk through what happened in the episode and recap and make some of our observations of our own, as much as we can in the moment. And then on Saturday, we hand the show over to the super fans.
No, we talk too much.
Well, we do, because they get ideas flowing. We do end up interacting with their feedback in that sense.
We've usually rewatched and, talked about it and over and over and over and over by then.
Right. So you don't get recaps here. You get analysis and insight and other responses, reactions from the episode.
It's not oversell.
Okay. I didn't think that was an oversell.
Okay.
I was just laying the foundation for possible new listeners. Although we carry a merry band of loyal listeners with us from season to season as the oldest Survivor podcast in existence.
And awesome contributors.
Fantastic.
Of which we had 19 people this week.
19? Okay. Well, with all that set up, I've laid the foundation for yet another fantastic listener feedback show. Is there anything we need to cover before we dive in?
I don't believe so.
Okay, let's kick it off with Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Pete from Boston calling here. Now, wow, another awesome episode, guys. And look, Row 2, after dominating the challenges all season, guess what? They're down to just 2 women. All the men are gone. Jamie, whose fake idol went for absolutely nothing. I wanted Kane to play it, and Lauren with the extra vote that came to waste. So let me let out a great big woo! Oh, man, what a crazy episode, guys. The whole negotiation thing with Probst, which I know, Stacy, you love. I love it, too, to see where everyone stands. And they somehow pulled it out. You knew Carson was going to sit out because he's not feeling good. Heidi was bold. And who would have thought, by the way, that she found the other idol and Lauren sitting it out as well. But, man, guys, the extra vote goes for not for Lauren. And I so wanted, though, King to play that idol and see his face and Jamie's face with that goofy, snarky smile come crashing down on her, realizing it was fake. Oh, I so wish that happened, but it was never played. It would have been so funny. So I have to hear Kane's interview and see when he found out it was fake, if it was at Ponderosa or not till months later, or even when Jamie might have known. But man, guys, crazy. I thought, honestly, they should have got rid of Danny, because that guy is nuts. He's now turning into a crazy villain. Reminded me, somewhat of Russell. Russell was the most hated, and even Tony, though. But he didn't find the idol. I think they should have got rid of him without a hidden idol or immunity necklace, because he didn't win the challenge. But again, Jam's ego, Kane had written his name down, and he's on the jury now, too. Now, can those 3 Tikas stay together? Are they going to be disbanded now? Carson, Carolyn going one way, Jam, I don't know. And Franny throwing a wrench vote at Jamie. Where did that come from? I didn't see that at all. But I think they made a mistake in not getting rid of Danny. And clearly Heidi had a good read, because she somehow didn't play her idol. Imagine if she got voted out with the idol in her pocket, or even if Danny went home. That could have been, I think, a big move that they missed out on. They're in for a good finish, though. 8 are left. You got Carolyn's idol and Heidi's idol. That's it. No knowledge is power, which I like. You're still going to watch out for Danny. I think he's being painted as a villain. Carolyn, guys, is making people laugh. Watch out now. She might be good at working a jury at the end. Jim is dodging bullets, so he might be all right. Right now, guys, I'd say Jamie is a GOAT right now. Who would vote for Jamie to win? Lauren may have a slim chance, and I like Franny. I think Franny got a good chance now. Maybe Heidi. They're in for a good finish, guys. All right, time to hear Kane's interviews and the Pope's podcast about controversial twists. I can't wait, guys, for next week, guys. Final 8, baby. Take care. Woo.
Whoa, thanks, Pete. Yeah, it was interesting to hear in Kane's exit interviews that Jamie was his ride or die. That they were so tightly aligned. I did not see that coming at all.
You're going to tell about his 3 R's that they had?
Oh, their named alliance, Real Eyes, Realize, Real Lies. That's what he said. That so they had a lie detector process they were following, trying to suss out what was going on.
Real eyes, as in eyes that you see through.
Right.
Realize something as acknowledging recognition.
Yeah.
And then realize
Not
that
the truth.
other people are saying, because that's confusing when you just hear you say that.
It's so well. It was when he said it too.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because both of them have a record for finding hidden fake idols.
Yeah.
So he did realize with his, and he said that everyone thought Jamie's was real.
Yeah.
They thought she had it, and they thought it was real. As if it had been vetted by Probst, he said. Interesting.
Yep. And, well, Matthew leaving the way he did, not getting to go say goodbye to them, go back to camp at all, he just was gone.
Yeah.
So he told nobody anything.
You had thought that perhaps he had shared with Kane since he was working with Kane. Evidently not.
Didn't even tell him.
Kane said he didn't find out until much later. Definitely not at Ponderosa. He left thinking and shared with the folks at Ponderosa that he had an immunity idol in his sock.
And they all said,
oh
man. So I think that TV moment might come out sometime, but not right away.
They should have called their alliance JK for Just Kidding, because there's so much just kidding activity around both of them.
I think that's cute too for him. That's why I want you to tell it, is because realizing, and here Jamie had the fake idol all that time.
Yes.
And never.
Their alliance was built on their ability to suss those things out.
And she totally bought any lies Matthew had said. So.
Yep.
But anyway, interesting.
Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in with my listener feedback. While maybe not as great of an episode as last week for me, I thought that overall this was a really good episode. But it was a good episode in despite of a number of things. And one of those things for me is, once again, Negotiator Jeff coming out to deal some rice. And I have to say, I really dislike Negotiator Jeff, maybe even more so than Talk Show Jeff. And I'm willing to sing it from the rooftops that I don't think Survivor players should be starving. But as usual, if you listen to Jeff's podcast, it's by design. Jeff and company like the fact that players are starving and makes the game so hard, and just the way they talk about it. They even mention that they try to track at what point in the game with the players starving will it begin to affect their cognitive abilities. And for me, when they talk about it in that way, it just feels kind of disgusting. It makes me not really want to even listen to his podcast anymore. I just think that if they were to provide players with basic sustenance in the game like they used to, just a bit of rice, food rewards would still have value. But I think it just makes the game even more interesting. I think that they perform better mentally. They obviously perform better physically. Endurance challenges are more competitive. So I can't disagree with Jeff more than that. And a lot of it obviously comes from them doing a shortened season. he talked about that a little bit as well, that it's kind of an accelerated game, so I think they're doing what they can to make it tougher and faster. And unfortunately, 39 days isn't coming back anytime soon, even though I think a lot of us would like to see that. And Jeff even said a comment that for those wanting 39 days, that for season 45, it's going to be 26, so weep on that. And I found that comment really insensitive, and it kind of pissed me off, I would say. But anyway, enough about the negative stuff of that. I think I'm preaching to the choir, but I did enjoy this episode. I thought that the challenge was good, and Franny, my USB, absolutely killed it in the challenge. Just the look and determination in her eyes, especially in the pouring rain. And she's just been a joy to watch this season. I'm really enjoying watching her. And I'm just wondering with Franny what her route to the winning this season looks like, and if she can do it without getting rid of Danny, because obviously Danny saving her with his idol kind of overshadows her game a little bit. And I think she can still win without getting rid of him, but I think it's a lot tougher, so I just wonder if that's something we might see happen in these next couple episodes. But I also have a weird feeling that Yam Yam, he's playing the middle so hard, and I just wonder if the next episode or the one after that, it might be where that kind of comes to roost, and if Yam Yam's going to go home. But currently I think I have Lauren being my vote out still, but I'm interested in seeing what all the other fans have to say, and I look forward to hearing their opinions as well. That's it for me. You guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, I listened to that podcast too. It was interesting to hear his take on it. I guess I wish that they would put him in a location where they could provide for themselves. And I agree. There's some other folks are going to talk about this too as we go through this idea of them having enough food so that they can function. And that extra video really spoke to it, where you could see how much they powered back up after the rice. What a huge impact that it had on them. I think there's a little bit of it referenced in the episode, but that extra video really delved into it more with a few more minutes on it. You could see the difference that it made. And for Carson, it was huge because he was able to think strategically again. And he said that was something that was elusive at that point prior to getting the rice.
Well, and they even talk about not even having very many coconuts.
Right. They're as usual, it seems, they've missed the mark with their intention. They say they think these things through, but they seem to frequently come to the wrong conclusions. And so that idea, if they would just put them in the environment where they had an opportunity to provide for themselves, it wouldn't be as big a deal. Because then it's on you.
There's a lot of different islands out there that, because
they could rotate to, yeah.
It gets diminished.
But that would take more work.
Yes, it would.
And so I guess that's just not in the cards. Weep on that, as Prope says.
Well, then they should at least go to other islands and provide them with, even if they had to hide them and they go find them instead of getting them out of the trees.
They've definitely done that before with supplies.
Yeah.
They've left stuff for them.
Yes, just, make them, they still have to go look for it and all of that, but provide them something that they can provide for themselves enough to not get so depleted and lose so much weight.
Just be able to keep performing. Let the players play. Let's go with Parker's motto there.
They're still not going to be not hungry or not uncomfortable.
Right.
Even with that, if you just provide enough that they're not. That it's not harming them. That's what I worry about, that it's going to end up harming them.
And it's always harder on the second season in these quick turnarounds that they're doing with the 226 days because it's even more depleted.
Right.
But you see how exciting it is and how big a factor it can be when you have a provider like Jonathan in an environment that's got plenty of fish to provide when they can go out and do that. It's there. You've seen it. It's just they,
Well, and Kane said that he and Brandyn
busy making TV
went out
moments.
fishing and that they got fish. They didn't show us that, but he said they were a lot closer than they showed. That Ratu was very close once they got rid of Maddie, and that they went fishing and did stuff like that. And Carolyn was talking about it was great to have some rice, something that wasn't in a shell or Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had been going out and getting some things from the ocean, but
We had seen that in extra videos.
yeah. But still, I'd like to see them have at least a little more.
You want to see them play into the best of their ability. That's
Right.
when it comes down to a bottom
Right.
line. That
And
seems to
able
be
to-
where we've settled on
And
this whole
able to think
idea.
so that they're not impaired.
Good stuff. Thanks, Robert. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Northern California. I think the impression I was left with the most this week is how radically different people play the game. We've got the Tika 3, and they're playing this very humble, very understated, very under-the-radar game, very deliberately. It was really nice to see Carolyn really open up to people this week. I enjoyed that very much. I really felt for her backstory. I was worried, like, oh no, are they doing this because she's going to be voted off because she was one of my safe points this week. Carson is just very personal, very quiet. Jam Jam is, well, he's hilarious, but he's just very kind to everybody, and it's very, very deliberate because none of them are getting cocky. And then we've got Kane and Ratu, where he's overestimating himself, and Jamie is overestimating herself. And now Danny's overestimating himself. I didn't like Danny at Tribal Council. He was way too brash, way too cocky. I think it's going to bite him in the end that he put on the show at Tribal Council where he said to Kane's face, yeah, I'm not a Boy Scout. He totally lied to him. And when he had one vote against him, his face was like, what? Me? How? Obviously, it was Kane that voted for you. I feel like the Tika 3 are just going to take this whole thing because they're playing so smart and they're not being showy. They're not being cocky. A lot of people are being cocky. Of course, I still love Franny. I had Lauren as my vote off because I really thought that they were going to go for Lauren this week. And I had Kane as a save point and actually lost my first save point of the season. I'd been doing so well. It's probably all downhill from here. Historically, I do worse the closer we get to the end, and then I just completely tank. Hey, maybe I'll get to sing this year. Who knows? I thought it was a really good episode. Definitely a really good episode. I'm curious to see what happens next. I would not be surprised if the Tika reversed their course and went after Danny. Danny's getting a little... Not Danny. Yeah, Danny. God, sometimes I forget who's who. He seems to be getting a little big for his britches. And you know who I love? I didn't mention Heidi. I love Heidi. She is playing a very smart, very polite, very under the radar, very strategic game. I wouldn't be surprised if Heidi won at this point. I think she's going to definitely be in the top 3. She's a smart cookie. If I were in that game, I would want her as my main person. Okay, that's all I got. I'm in Napa. Gonna go take my bike right now. Everybody have a great day. Can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say. And of course, as always, so many thanks for Joanne and Stacy for this amazing podcast. Bye.
Ooh, I like the birds.
Yeah, there's birds in several of the calls this week. Good stuff. Thanks, Rebecca. You don't think Jam Jam's being a little cocky? You write my name down, you go. Of course, she meant openly cocky around others, I think. But
oh, he definitely is, but he does it in the correct place.
Yeah, in the
confessionals. Because when he comes back from camp and he's like, oh, it's all good, and oh, thank you, I'm still here. And, he's very jolly. And
yeah.
But he says that stuff in confessionals, which is the perfect place.
He's definitely got the cocky thing going. And Kane told in his interviews, he mentioned several times where they were openly cocky. He said after the Matt vote, they gathered around
that
and
Ratu was
laughed out loud.
Yep.
At voting him out and their success and their control of the game. So they invited the survivor gods
and that probably included Jam Jam and Carson.
Yeah, possibly. He was in the bigger group, right?
Yeah, they thought they had the numbers completely, and they were just going to rock it on out of there.
Yes. Lauren's kind of off my radar now. She doesn't have the double vote, so I'm not sure that... I think Ratu's going to fade now.
I consider Jamie a bigger threat than Lauren anyway at this point because they were talking about Jamie has a better social game. Though Lauren's physically done so much better, So she would be more of a challenge in that respect. But I think they're more afraid of Jamie's social game.
Maybe.
I can't remember who said it, but I think it was Heidi. Jamie had a better social game. But anyway, well,
we hadn't seen a lot of that.
I expect somebody to start trying to use them, and they become, like you said,
they're
less
not
of a
targets.
target.
Yeah, they're not targets now. They're implements to move your game ahead.
They could be, or they could just be easy targets.
Their threat profile's definitely not as high. Although, let's see, Jamie and Lauren both know, because Kane, that was the other thing he said in his interview that was interesting, that he knowingly used knowledge is power to force that shuffle of advantages and idols. And all three of them knew about who had what. So that could be currency you could trade on, that Jamie's idol was now gone. So Lauren could use that to kind of push Jamie in front of her for one more vote.
But yeah, Jamie having it would have made her a big target. But them knowing she doesn't have it makes her less of a target.
And I can't remember, was that Rebecca? That somebody had talked about throwing a vote Jamie's way. Maybe that was Pete. Anyway, that was just in case an idol got played.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why Franny threw that vote on Jamie. Thanks, Rebecca. Hope you had a great ride. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
These past 2 episodes were pretty great. I don't have a whole lot to say about the episode last week, but this week was pretty crazy. It was a pretty smart move to go after the Ratu members and narrow down the original tribe alliance by 3 from each tribe. I'm quite surprised that Carson, Carolyn, and Jam Jam are the middlemen and were the ones to make the decision as to who gets voted out last week, and a little of this week as well. I do feel a little sorry for Carson and how he felt really lousy, but I liked how Carolyn stood up with him and had him as her partner for that immunity challenge last week. I still find Carolyn a little annoying, but I can also see why she is still there. As for this most recent episode with Danny's idol out of play, I had a feeling there would be a tribe search for the new one. Danny was not being tricky when he was searching for it, and everyone seemed to know what was going on there. I'm happy to see Heidi find the new one, but not sure how effective she will be at playing it. I wonder if the inheritance advantage will come back into play this season, and how effective it might be. The advantage, when played, would allow someone to gain all idols and advantages played at that tribal council. It did seem like a great concept, but I have not heard anything about that for weeks now. Yeah, not since it left with Sarah. I really enjoyed the tribe flag design that was getting worked on, and it feels like it fits within the season of medieval times really well. The immunity challenge this week was challenging as it was, but add the pouring rain and needing to focus on not losing concentration on the ball. I know I would have probably struggled with it, but I don't know if I would have sat out on this challenge or not. I'm happy for Franny, and she does seem like she is on a streak of winning immunity. She does seem to have a target on her, so I'm not sure if she can still make it far, but I hope she can last a little longer. I have enjoyed watching Kane quite a bit, so for me, that was a little unexpected to see him leave this week. He was a fun person to cheer for. I've been way behind on listening to the recaps and feedback this season, but I have been enjoying this season and hope to be caught up with everyone at some point, and will still be sending in feedback in the meantime. Hope everyone's doing well, and I'll talk to you guys next week. All right, thanks, Jack. Up next, we've got a call from Chris.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, Survivor fans. I'm finally getting into the groove with this post-tribal introduction goes here footage sequence. Do you think Survivor will still be around when they're able to record infrared in full color? We need a new television technology because everybody has the most amazing TV there is already. How can we improve on this? Well, have you seen full color infrared? Wait till you see the reds. Wow, Franny is a real champion. That was amazing. And what a great setting for such a challenge with the surf rolling in below and the rain. And I'm really excited because I think I have Danny going home. I hoped I had Danny going home. Pre-tribal, there's this confessional with Lauren, and she's beside the water. And at the top of the water, at the top of the screen, there's this reflection of something. And I don't think it's at Fiji. It could be at some resort or something, but it just didn't look like what we're used to seeing. And it got me thinking, Joanna Stacy, maybe we could put together a travel package to Fiji, and we could visit the camps and the tribal council set, maybe do a challenge or two. We could put it together, and I could organize it and go for free. What do you think? Sign up today. I found Jeff to be really confrontational at this tribal, coming on to Jamie. Jamie, where do you sit? Well, I'm in the middle of the front row, Jeff, just where the stage manager placed me. Wardrobe gave me this bright red shirt. Is that how you see it? And then later he comes on to Carolyn. He's like, even how you're looking at me, Carolyn. How about your vote? Yeah, I freeze the frame right there. And Carolyn's hair right now, the buff on her forehead is scooching her hair upwards. And she's got this wild David Lee Roth look going. Carolyn, you rock. You're my new USB. Danny walked into the voting booth like he was walking into a saloon brandishing 2.6 guns. Hey, y'all, there was once this puppy dog that limped into a saloon. And they said, what are you here for? And he said, I've come to find the man that shot my paw. Okay, so it was Kane that was just voted out. I'm going to presume for now that I was wrong about picking Danny as a vote out because initially I wanted to pick Kane this week when I was placing my vote, so I'm just going to feel secure in that until I hear otherwise. I can't wait for the recap show, Joanne and Stacy. You two are amazing. You really are. And so are the other commenters I get to hear from every week. God bless y'all. Have a great week. I'm sending you some sugar, Kane.
Oh, that's a good one, Nick.
Oh, all right. Thanks, Chris. Next up, we got a call from Brandon.
Hey there, Joanne and Stacy. This is Brandon from Indiana, coming to you from day 4 of my COVID isolation.
Uh-oh.
Got a positive test earlier this week. Luckily, I've had mild symptoms. I will say I got a bit of that brain fog going, though, so apologies if some of this seems a little bit scattered. I've tried to record this about 4 times now, but I just wanted to say this week's episode of Survivor was a major boost for me. Also, the podcast was a big boost, getting to hear your guys' thoughts. But I think the thing that I loved so much about this week's episode was just that downtime at camp, seeing the players not only strategizing, but also just getting to know each other better. I loved seeing Carolyn point to her Halloween decorations in her confessional as one of the things that she looks at, in addition to her son and husband, as things that she thinks are positive about her life. I'm a big Halloween fan, so when she mentioned that, that just made me love her all the more. While I do love Carolyn, she's my 5-point USB, I'm also really starting to pull for Franny. She's been great in the challenges. Watching her, she just seems like such a genuine person, and I've really started to pull for her. I'm just so curious how these alliances move forward, going forward, with the next on Survivor being so specifically about seemingly these old alliances breaking down as we move forward. Other than that, I really enjoyed also the challenge just being that pure endurance challenge that I was really hoping for. Obviously, the rice negotiation and the tempting with food to step down isn't quite the same thing, but I really, really enjoyed it. I only got 3 points this week in JSFL. I realized I had barely used Kane for safe points up until a couple weeks ago, so I kind of started trying to throw him in a bunch, and I got caught. I tried to keep him safe one more week. I had Jamie going out. That didn't end up happening. Instead, the fake idol, the Fidel as it is, disappears with Kane in his sock. Guess Jamie will not be the wiser for the rest of the season. I really just wanted to be able to visually see her reaction to learning that it was fake after seeing so much of her confessionals being so confident in that idol. Obviously, we're not going to get that, though. Since I've been sick, I've been binge watching season 9 the last few days, which comes down to a lot of men versus women talk. I'm curious, do you two think that there is any of that going on now? Are Carson, Danny, and Jam Jam going to realize that being down 5-3 at this point might be a disadvantage? Do either of you see any of the three men making the final three? For me, I'm kind of leaning towards a mix of Heidi, Lauren, or Franny, and barring a Carson heart-stabbing betrayal, Carolyn in the final three right now. And lastly, I listened to On Fire with Jeff this week, and I just thought this week's episode really boiled down to stop criticizing me and the producers, enjoy what we give you, because we make the decisions. That's what it ended up seemingly coming down to, because things that are coming back, edge of extinction, we're not going to lose the 26 days, we're probably not going back to two people ever, if it's not just a random twist on the players in the game, because Lord forbid people knowing the rules of a game before they get into it. I just got so frustrated with this week's episode of that podcast. This episode just really rubbed me the wrong way. All right, hopefully you guys are well, and see you later.
Thanks, Brandon.
I haven't even been listening.
I listen when I go out for walks, so I usually try to listen on Fridays or Saturdays.
And I depend on you to just tell me if there was anything interesting.
You know what he did own? So there's definitely, as Robert mentioned and as Brandon just mentioned, there's some things in there where he does seem to be saying, this is the way it is, get over it. He did own that the turn back time thing was a really bad idea, and he wishes that he had never gone there. And he owned it and explained how he fumbled the whole thing by not letting them know ahead of time about what could happen, by taking away the win, all of it. So he did own that one, and he gave some history on how they goofed the Medallion of Power, what his original intention was, and then how they realized that whoever had it just ended up winning, so it was kind of a wash. But the interesting thing about that, the thing that struck me, was that they said they pulled it. And so they let it go a couple times. They saw that the tribe that had the Medallion of Power that got the advantage won, and then they decided, okay, we're going to take this back out. And that's not something that you hear too often, them talking about making a decision while the season's ongoing and changing it that way. I think it was for the better. It was a goofed idea that wasn't working. So, and they got balance between the two times it was in, but you don't often hear about, and you certainly don't want to think about them changing aspects of the game while the game's occurring. They are really big about talking about how they have everything planned out ahead of time, and that's what they stick to. But this was a case, at least back then, when they decided, no, we're just going to get rid of this. It's not working. Thanks, Brandon. I hope you get better and recover rapidly.
Absolutely, and I think I have a little brain fog most of the time.
I was reading an article this week, and it said, well, after 50, brain fog is just something regular that you deal with.
Well, yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I thought, well, probably insomnia doesn't help it.
Yeah, there's other underlying reasons for why that could be happening. It's not just because you turned 50.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, and I had some idea, and I'm like, hey, I'm on a roll. I got a nap.
Yes, you powered
back up.
It was funny. You drank your coffee and then fell asleep.
Yep.
Fell back asleep. And then, because we both were both dragging, trying to get everything together.
Yeah, we got up and got everything, done, and we were just about ready to record, and we were both like, I had coffee, you had eaten something. We both kind of went,
this isn't happening. Yeah, we were powering down.
I cannot keep my eyes open. I have to take a nap.
But you got supercharged once you got back up.
I did.
We watched extra videos and a Kane interview, and you were just humming.
I was.
Well, all kinds of ideas you're pitching.
Like, hey, my brain is working.
Yes. We hope you get back to working normal soon, Brandon. Thanks. Next up, we got a call from Tim.
Hello and well met, Survivor fans. This is DM Tim calling from Connecticut. My technology's been dead for a couple of weeks, so sorry I didn't get any feedback in the last one. This time, it seems our parties realize that there's some magic items that are hidden, so players start making some nature checks, investigation checks, and stealth checks, and we see Heidi gets the prize. I'm glad we're finally starting to see some more of her. I think she might just be a plain old fighter. We'll see. The downtime chat with I Spy is quintessential D&D fun. Some of my personal favorite times when we play are just when we chat in character and discover backstories and other silly games. One time we went on a picnic and I was going to bring an aboleth, a beholder, Cthulhu, a Drider, an Ent. Everyone rolled their hit dice and got some hit points back, and that was a fun little scene to see Carolyn especially. Her outlook on life makes a lot of sense to me. As soon as you stop living for other people and start living just for you, everything just hits different. I've been calling her a warlock, but perhaps she's our paladin, fighting for truth and justice to live as authentically as you can. This might be why she's such a queen, both in and out of the game. So now it's time to negotiate with the DM. With Jeff. Danny's deception check was pretty great. Maybe he's the letter ass Carolyn was looking for earlier. And then the challenge requires dexterity saving throws, at of course disadvantage, to balance on one foot. Strength checks to wedge the ball and hold it, and of course a constitution saving throw for concentration. Danny, the monk/rogue, saves a few times, but Beast Mode Franny wins again. That's my USB right there. Well, the scramble was fun. Franny's not thinking because she's immune, and Carolyn is the only one who's smart and wants Danny out. But in the end, chaos ensues and a live tribal decides. Kane the Bard wasn't able to survive. Everyone grab your dice. It seems like the next couple of episodes are going to be a doozy. Until next time, all.
Thanks, Tim. It's great you got your tech issues sorted and are back with us again this week. Next up, we got an email from Liam in Upstate New York. Hi, Joanne and Stacy. I represent all the unwashed masses who faithfully listen to the podcast but don't contribute to the listener feedback podcast or play JSFL. I haven't missed an episode of the podcast since 2006, but have never written or called in. I ask for your forgiveness. You are forgiven. That's the way of the podcast. It's no big deal.
It's up to you, but we appreciate having you.
Yeah.
And knowing that you've been out there. That's awesome.
Yeah. Liam continues, when season 44 started, I was watching the most recent season of Australian Survivor, and watching Australian Survivor felt like watching Bruce Springsteen in concert, and American Survivor felt like listening to a tone-deaf person. A tone-deaf person singing Springsteen songs at a karaoke bar. But then my VPN stopped working with 10 Play, so I could not finish the season of Australian Survivor, so I was stuck with Karaoke Survivor. I've been watching Survivor since day one, and I've been so disappointed in the new era that I almost decided not to watch season 44, but I'm sure glad I did, because I love this season and this cast. Listening to everyone in our Survivor Fans podcast community really helped get me through the low spots in this new era. So thanks to everyone for that.
All right.
As for this season, here are a few thoughts. I've really liked Franny from the get-go and am impressed she's such a challenge beast, but we really haven't seen much of her ability to strategize. Last week, though, I was not impressed with her desire to vote out someone from Tika. I'm glad Danny got her straight on why Ratu was the biggest threat. Speaking of Danny, I didn't like him until the last couple of episodes. His dismissal of Carolyn made him look like just another bro jerk, but his blind side of Brandyn was the kind of move that made me remember what I love about Survivor. After this last episode, he's showing that he's the best player out there. I don't think he'll make it to the end because he's such a clear threat. Like you two and the other fans, I love watching the castaways get to play the game. The more tribe time and fewer gimmicks, the better. Like most everyone in the SFP community, I find Probst to be too full of himself, and I feel like he's hurt the game in search of those television moments. That said, Stacy, I'm curious if listening to Jeff's podcast and learning more about what's behind lots of his decisions and gimmicks has made you change your mind on any of the aspects of the show that you have not liked in recent years. Okay, I got to think about that for a moment. Well, that's it for my first ever listener feedback. Hopefully it won't take me another 17 years of listening before I chime in again. You guys are the best. Over the years, I've tried listening to other Survivor podcasts, but it just reminds me of what I dislike about most fan podcasts and what makes you stand apart. You guys have heart, and your love for the show and the community you've created really stands out. Also, a big thank you to all the other fans whose feedback I love to hear each week. Thanks, Liam. That was great to hear from you.
And that was very kind words. Thank you.
We appreciate that. And we know it takes effort to reach out, and we appreciate you putting that extra effort in. Let's see. Have I heard anything that Jeff said that made me think about something I didn't like differently?
I think it helped you clarify and understand about the television moments. That seems to be the biggest thing you've talked about that helped you understand some
Where
of
he's
his
coming
choices.
from. That if you make that the basis, kind of the driving reason for every decision that you make, and when you hear him talk about how he makes those decisions, it did help reframe it. I guess I feel less uneasy about the whole thing, because I keep thinking, you understand the core principles. How are you continuing to mess up this much? And when you get to see it through the lens of, oh, I'm all about making TV moments, and there's so many people, it seems like, that we've seen in recent years that are in Hollywood that have that as their driving force that they're looking for. And it's how season 8 of Game of Thrones gets destroyed. It's how the last Star Wars trilogy was, just a dumpster fire of a mess of storytelling. They're talented people that are involved, but the people making the decisions when they're going for TV moments or movie moments, then you realize there's no substance behind the decision-making process. They don't really understand why things are great that they've seen before, the things that come before that they're trying to mimic, that they're trying to cash in on effectively.
At least in your humble opinion.
Okay, you're going to reframe it that way real quick, huh? Yes, yeah. So I don't know that, it's not like I'm ready to reconsider Exile Island. I'm not. I think it's a bad idea. I think, let's put it this way, with Redemption Island, if you didn't snuff the torch in either of these cases, because fire represents life, if you didn't do that, I could probably manage those things a little better.
Yeah, you just could never get past that. Don't snuff the torch.
It's a first principle of the game.
If you're not really out of the game.
Right. And he thinks he tries to frame it, you can hear him in the last couple podcast episodes, as it's a spiritual rebirth, because he fancies himself a grand storyteller, where what we've learned is you put everything in place and then you get out of the way and let it happen. Casting does this fantastic job. You've got these core principles of the game where each group of people on each tribe and each alliance has to decide what they value, and that's how they make their decisions. So you've got to build trust, and you've got to betray trust, and let it all play out like that. And if you don't force things, it can be way better. And so in his quest to keep Boston Rob on TV longer, keep Russell on TV longer, then, and the same thing with he says we'll have Exile Island again with returnee seasons in the future. But it's the TV moment is having those people still in the season. And, it's not an hour that they have with an episode. It's 42 minutes because of the commercials that they have to sell.
Yeah.
So every time they do that, every time they do the Shipwheel Island, which became the forced choices thing that wrecked Sarah's game and wrecked Matt's game, they take away from helping us, letting us see how things are playing out. They take away from tribe time, so we see what's going on and how they're getting through these things. So I guess that's the closest I've come, Liam, is when I was thinking about Exile or Redemption Island, if they didn't snuff the torch, I could manage it mentally better. If it became a glowing ember, a coal that's almost gone.
It's okay, honey. You can let it go.
Okay. Fine. Moving on. Thanks again, Liam. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. So it's early. I am headed to the gym, but I'm going to leave my feedback right now while it's on my mind so that the day doesn't get away with me, and then I just totally forget by the deadline. So last week actually would have been a good week to to drop some feedback because I got a vote off point with Brandon. Definitely not the way I expected it to go down. That was pretty exciting to see all those votes for Franny not counting for anything. But yeah, this week I actually had Kane safe. So this is the part where everyone always says, oh, the 1 week I finally didn't pick him to go, but not only that, I had him stay. But I mean, I've picked Kane to go like 6 times. So, you know, of course, it kind of does apply here. But I was not sorry to see him go. I think that he is, I don't know, there's something about him. I just feel like I've never really connected, really engaged with him as a player. And so I was like, okay, bye. It's kind of about time as far as I was concerned. The only bummer is that Jamie that would have been satisfying to see the fake idol play out somehow or other, whether in her favor or not. She is my new USB, so I was just kind of rolling the dice to see how that would play out. But I guess her chances are a little bit better now. She's not going to at least get messed over by that. So it was a fun episode. I like endurance challenges. I was watching with Charlie, and that doesn't seem so hard. And you don't think so? I think that seems really hard. It's just like the balance for one thing, but then the several points of contact you have to keep, and it's just like really precarious. So anyway, I like that. I kind of like these better than, I don't know, endurance are kind of like torture challenges because you just try to see how much you can put your body through, but then at the same time, it's not just like another 7-step relay where it all comes down to the puzzle anyway. So, but I've been enjoying seeing the players get to play a little bit more. I am kind of on Team Danny. I'm just like, bro, roll with it. I was kind of bummed that he didn't find the idol this week. I thought that would have upped his game just a little bit more, but I think he still has it. Guys like him almost never win, so I don't think that he'll really get to the very, very end, but I don't know. It's going to be fun to see. Either him or Jamie, I'm kind of leaning toward right now. I hope everyone has a good weekend and rolling out to the end of the season. And I'm getting really close to the basement there, Stacey. I think you've noticed. I think I'm like just 2 points away from the bottom, so that's kind of concerning, but I guess I had a 3-point week this week, so that didn't help me at all. But see how next week goes. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Drew.
But Stacy's still below you, Drew.
Yes. And Lisa Ray's keeping things nice and cozy down there. We're both headed in that direction. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh. I didn't check in with you guys last week because we had company from Norway. They were visiting us for a week. And the one thing I said to them was, while you're here, the only thing that we definitely watch on television on Wednesday night is Survivor. I don't know if they ever heard of Survivor before, or at least American Survivor. They didn't seem to know much about the game, but I actually played a half hour of the first episode of this season for them. And my friend kept saying, that, and I told him it's been on for like 9 weeks. And he said, well, that blonde woman's not going to make it. I said, well, she's still in it. And then he pointed to Jam Jam. He's not going to make it. I said, well, he's still in it. I think they do have a show in Norway, but he said it's on a farm. So I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, he enjoyed watching that episode. I don't think it made him a fan, but he was excited for me because I won a vote up. And I have to say that this season's probably my best season for votes out. This is the 4th one this season, although I don't know why my score is still so low. But I want to talk about Brandyn and Kane. The reason I picked them was I just felt we weren't seeing much strategy from them. I think Brandyn is like one of those guys who, he's strong. They're on a winning team. They rarely have to go to tribal council. His first time at tribal council, he was warned by Matthew to play the idol, which saved him and kept him in the game. But after the merge, really, there was no tribal council that he was vulnerable. And so as soon as he was, I wasn't surprised that they voted him off. And for Kane, I just didn't feel I don't know who says alliance. Maybe they were just being voted off right and left, but he said he finally woke up. I never saw him wake up. I was really surprised at that. For somebody who plays Dungeons and Dragons, I thought he'd have better strategy. So where do we go from here? I really do think that there's going to be a Tika player in the final tribal council. I'm not sure which one yet, but the way this is going and the way they focused on them, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Carolyn. Will she win it? It's possible. Could Carson win it? I'm not so sure. And I don't think Jam's playing really great strategy. Okay, they voted for me, they're out. I think right now Carolyn seems to be in the driver's seat. We shall see. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Thanks, David.
You were missed.
What do you think? If the final three is Carolyn, Heidi, and Jamie, who wins? I'm trying to come up with a scenario where David's idea would work. Carolyn, Heidi, or Jamie?
That's a tough one, I think. Let's see, who would be in the jury that would get Heidi's vote, Carolyn's vote? Depends on who they turned on. If they got their hands dirty in the vote outs of their other tribe members, I think would make a huge difference at that point. But I don't, sorry, Drew, I don't think Jamie would win. I think it would absolutely be between Carolyn and Heidi. Now, you would think Heidi was the better player, but if Carolyn is able to articulate all the ways that she tried to stay under the radar, she could. I think it is possible for her to win.
Yeah, that you always have to factor in, well, who's there? Who are they going up against? And then how are they going to be able to present whatever case they have? And Heidi's been a big under-the-radar player from our perspective in the edit. And Carolyn's been on the outside. So, yeah, it's kind of a wash there. Jamie could have a story to tell, but it wouldn't be of much of anything. She could have, I guess she could talk about having an idol, but we don't know how Carolyn's idol or Heidi's idol are going to have an impact on the game.
Exactly.
That's what could really sway it, I guess. It's going to come down to how they make the most of that.
And that Carolyn's kept hers quiet almost from day one.
Yes, from way early in the game. Yeah.
Yes.
Certainly wins for that stealth advantage.
And that so far we've not really seen anyone targeting her. So, yeah. I don't know. I definitely think it's possible Carolyn could win if she got there.
We're down to 8. You can start thinking about these things in a somewhat more manageable way. Thanks, David. Next up, we got a call from Shahin.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey, and to all the Survivor fans, hope everyone is well. Very, very happy with the episode. It's been 2 or 3 episodes now that they've built a very, very solid foundation. Production's done a really good job. We've had, I think, a light shone on everyone now, bar Jamie, to think that would be happy, I think, as a consensus that any one of these, bar Jamie, would win the game and would be happy about it. I only say Jamie is because they made her look like a bit of a goofball, making her look like she's fumbled the bag a bit. I thought Jamie would be going this week. I had her going because just made her look like that they were planning her downfall, but didn't happen. And I had Kane safe, so that's 3 points for me. I expect to be down the bottom where I should be, really. I'd be very disappointed if Jamie won the game, only because of how they've shown her, and it just reminds me a bit of that Gabler situation. So fingers crossed, guys, Jamie doesn't win. Otherwise, I don't know how I'll handle another season. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. I think finally it looks like the tribe patriotism has kind of broken a little bit now, because I'm just surprised up until now that these small groups have kind of held firm. Yes, they exchanged their votes here and there, and Carol and Carson and Jam have been a bit like, they've been very Merc-like in how they've operated. I've been very happy as to how everything's gone. I think Franny has done an excellent job in hiding her threat level. I think she's extremely dangerous. I think she'll be top 4, but I honestly don't see anyone from the Orange Tribe making it past top 6. I don't think Jamie and Lauren will make it. I have a very, very sneaky feeling that Tika, Purple Tribe, are going to go through to the top 4. I think it'll be Carolyn, Carson, Jam, and I think Franny will join them. I don't think Heidi will make it. I have a feeling Danny has unfortunately created a bit of an issue in terms of his threat level. He made a bit of a boo-boo and not understanding the social aspect of that rice discussion. I think he made himself look a bit stupid, unfortunately, and he doesn't understand that the sacrifice that those 4 made in the rice, that's actually a move in itself. So I think you fumbled the bag a bit there, Danny, but you got to recognise what the inner workings of those moves are. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the game moves forward. I thought the challenge, the immunity challenge was excellent. As you said, Stacey, you got 2-3 points of contact where those points of contact is a curve on curve. So that contact point is infinitesimally small compared to if you had a flat. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, I'm very excited to see how we go. I'm doing really poorly in JSFL with 3 points, unfortunately. So yeah, let's see how we go. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Shahin. Good job.
At least you're not in the side challenge and you don't have to worry about singing.
Good stuff. Next up, we got an email from Mary in Maryland. I love the alliteration.
Hope everyone is having a good weekend. While I enjoyed the episode and listening to the analysis and exit interviews this week, it wasn't my favorite episode, and I have been trying to figure out why. I think it came down to 2 reasons. First of all, as Stacey mentioned, having Jamie's fake idol out of the game without any impact was kind of a letdown. I'm not sure why they included Matthew's making of the idol, Jamie's finding it, and all of her gleeful talk about her power in the game if the whole thing was going to amount to nothing. I haven't really connected with Jamie, so the one thing I was looking forward to relating to her was the surprise that she tried to play the idol and found out it was fake. It was also a letdown that Lauren's extra vote that we've been hearing about so much about amounted to nothing as well. Although that's good for Tika. The forced rice negotiation at the challenge was a bit unsatisfying as well. These types of things are so much more exciting and surprising when players think of it themselves.
Yep.
I don't mind producers adding in new elements to the game to add variety or interest, or as Jeff says, to see what sticks. Knowledge is power, going on a journey, extra votes or lose a vote, that kind of stuff. But all of these manipulations in the actual gameplay seem to make it so difficult for players just to play the game in order to give us exciting and surprising moments. Kane leaving was also not very exciting for me. While strategically I could see how it might have been a valid move, I never saw him as a major target or strategist in the game, so his leaving doesn't make much of an impact. And I'm enjoying Danny less and less each week, so it would have been more interesting to see him get blindsided. I'm still loving the position that Carson, Carolyn, and Jam Jam are in, and hope they can maintain it. It will be interesting to see if they continue to pick off the former Ratu, or flip back and forth as some have suggested. I'm liking Heidi more and more now that we're getting to see more of her game. However, she is now a target. Franny did an amazing job once again, winning the challenge, but I fear that she too is an obvious target. I can't see what her path forward might be, but it would be great to see if she is tenacious and creative enough and lucky enough to make it to the end. Although we've seen a bit more of Lauren, I'm still not clear on her place in the game. I didn't like her statement to Carolyn last week that she needs to be working with her. Still not seeing where Jamie fits in either, but still, as we've seen in the past, that's just the type of player who makes it to the end and can even win. I'm hoping not to have another disappointing ending like that season. Like last season. I'm probably going to pick Danny as my vote-off pick this week. Given how these last few seasons have been going, I'm sure it will be someone completely different, and everything will go down in a way that we couldn't have imagined and can't predict. All right, thanks, Mary. Up next, we've got a call from Noelle.
Hi, everyone. It's Noelle calling from Albuquerque. I really enjoyed that episode. I felt like a lot of people got screen time, and it was nice to hear from everybody on the tribe. The other day, I took my daughter to soccer practice, and I got out of the car, and there was a few drops falling, but they were like those big, fat, cold drops. And I said, never mind, and I got back in the car, and I said, I'll wait until this is over, even though it was hardly anything. So that challenge was pretty funny thinking about that. So I did not have Kane going, so that's a bummer. I really thought that Jamie was going to go, not because she was targeted, but because that fake idol, I expected it to blow up in her face. So it was so disappointing that her fake idol, after all that buildup, it went out on a whimper instead of a bang. That was so sad. Now what are we going to look forward to? I think Lauren burned her extra vote. That's what it looked like. Somebody took an extra vote out of their pocket, which I assumed had to be Lauren, because I don't think anybody else has one. But let me know if you guys saw the same thing. Oh, did you guys also see Jamie's necklace said Plant Lady? That was so cute. I didn't realize that was something she called herself outside of the island as well. Did you guys also notice that they haven't voted out a woman since the tribes came together? So there's like 3 men left in the game. I really think that next week they're going to go after Jam Jam. I think Jam Jam will go next week. That's my pick. I should have listened to you guys last week. I'm pretty sure somebody said Kane. I'm with Carolyn, though. I don't think Kane was the right person to take out here. Like, what? I'm with Carolyn. What threat is Kane? I feel like Danny's driving a lot of this, and he seems to be exclusively threatened by men who are larger than him. So it's great that he's so narrow-minded in tribal council, and his little hissy fits, the whole challenge, whining about what other people on the tribe choose to do in terms of doing the challenge or not. He just reminds me of those people who think that everybody sees the world the same way that they do. They're just not able to put themselves in someone else's shoes. But it's working for me because I really like the people that he's not targeting. So go off, Danny. Oh my gosh, I was so impressed by Franny winning that challenge. I probably would have done good in it because I have really great balance, but only if I had been eating and it wasn't raining, because if I'm uncomfortable in any kind of discomfort whatsoever, then I'm out. I quit. I'm gone. That's why I don't ever apply for Survivor and never will. I was so scared for Carolyn. Oh my gosh. She got such a big emotional segment. And I know they haven't been doing that where they do the whole send-off, but I was still, shaking in my boots. And her name finally came up. Ooh, that was so funny how Danny wouldn't listen to Franny, right? She said, we should go after Tika because they're the swing votes. And Danny's like, no, why would we do that? I love how narrow-minded and not strategic he is. It's awesome. Let's keep Danny around. Danny is great for my favorites. So everybody have a great weekend. Bye.
Thanks, Noelle.
Well, I was with you, Noelle, all week long. Well, let's see, is it going to be Jamie or Lauren? Jamie or Lauren? Jamie or Lauren? And I understood people kept saying Danny, 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 and I thought, well, I know that could happen as well, but I'm not ready to go there yet. So that was totally my choice, was trying to decide between Lauren and Jamie. And then when it came time to actually go in and do my picks, I went, I can't put either one of them down. I think it's going to be Kane. It was just this weird feeling. I even came out and told you. Not sure 100% why I did that, but I put Kane. Mm-hmm. And I just had this feeling. And so I just went with it. And it did pay off. But now, I've had those feelings before, and they didn't pay off, so. But this time it did. But I really couldn't have told you why I just flipped it.
So the extra vote got played by Jamie because Lauren gave Jamie the extra vote, and Jamie gave her fake idol to Kane because Kane started talking about the knowledge is power advantage, and he got him spooked by design, and that's why you saw the extra vote get played. Thanks, Noelle. Next up, we got a call from Jody.
Hello, Survivor family. It's Jody. I have made my picks for this week. I've no concerns about running out of save points because of my terrible choices earlier in the piece. So my heart hurts a little bit, but I've put Franny down to go. I feel like she has a real shot at this, and I feel like people they're clearly looking her way. They've already mounted attack against her, deflected by Danny. She's won a couple of individual immunities. She's got old mate Matt over there making big old moon eyes at her. I feel like it's the thing I would like least to happen. And the thing I would like least to happen has happened so often this season that I'm just leaning into that and trying to capitalize on it. and maybe get a point. Still loving Carolyn, still loving Jam Jam, still loving Carson. I just wonder how far these guys can ride it to the end. Jamie, how interesting her edit has been, having the fakey idol and kind of appearing silly because of it, but emboldened her gameplay, I think. Would she have been the sort of person who wasn't much seen if she wasn't given this confidence through a bit of tat that had absolutely no value? Interesting. I wouldn't be sad if my USB Danny was voted out next week. I don't know. He's fine and everything. Tony Light, I guess. I just don't kind of see anything exciting happening there. Sad for Kane. He was an interesting character. Yeah, just sort of enjoying the season more this last episode. It's so interesting that this 3-3-3 tribal alliances, how is this going to change? I don't know, but I am here for it. Can't wait to hear what you all think. Who is it going to be? I think this is a great cast for the end of this game, and I'm not going to be mad. I don't think I'll be mad if any one of them won. All right, guys. Bye. Hey, just a little added. Oh, safety-wise, is anyone else concerned for Lauren's hair? Every time I see her near that big old flaming torch, my workplace health and safety sort of soul kind of tingles a little bit. I'm wondering if there's a fire blanket nearby. I am concerned. And also, why are people letting freaking Caroline and what's his guts climb that freaking rock? Have we not seen enough trouble? Okay, bye.
That brought me back because I had a moment of panic when Lauren was standing in front of the torches. Because I thought, oh my goodness, her hair is way too close, just like what Jody's talking about.
That can be deceiving, though, that it looks closer than it is.
It could have been a perspective trick, but it was the torches that they were all stacking, so she had to be relatively close to them at the time. So I know that. Wow, what a zinger. What's his guts? I can't even remember who it is, but it's a guy with a gut, and whew, what a goodness. Jody must have been vicious in schoolyard cuts like that. She just threw that out in passing. It's like a multi-level diss.
It sounds like you have a new baby too, Jody.
What are you talking about?
Didn't you hear like a puppy or something in the background?
Those birds.
Those were birds?
Yeah.
Well, maybe she's got a new baby bird.
But she's always somewhere where there's lots of birds there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, never mind.
It was not a...
Sounded like a puppy to me.
Okay. Well, we'll put some drops in for you later. That was not puppy-like in the least. If you want to hear a dog, you go to Noelle.
For my left ear.
Oh, thanks, Jody. Next up, we got Jade-n-Christine. They're back.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey. This is Jade.
And Christine.
From Hawaii.
Aloha.
Back together again.
Yay.
I survived the wrangling all the children in San Francisco.
Yay.
I did get a cold.
Yes.
But I have my life, so we're happy. No, it was fun. It was fun.
Everyone had a good time. You guys all got back safe.
Yeah. It was good. And this week on Survivor, Franny really impressed me because she is now on to Tika and she won immunity. So I think she's doing pretty good.
Yeah, she really kind of came back from that, getting Matt voting out. And
she bounced back quick.
Yeah, so hopefully she can keep it up. She's very impressive.
Yeah, I think she's doing well now.
Yeah, but poor Jamie, no shot in the dark, and her fake idol went home with
Kane.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I keep putting her as a vote out, and then she doesn't get voted out.
Me too.
So.
I did this week. Yeah, I know. It was interesting that with the votes, everyone who got the most votes, like Heidi and Kane, they both sat out for Rice. And even though everyone was like, "Oh, I won't vote for you if you sit out," obviously that was BS. But I don't know. It's kind of made me think, like, would you sit out, Mom? Would you sit out?
I would sit out if it was a challenge that I knew I wouldn't have a chance of doing well in, and like that one.
Yeah.
For sure. Like that would look super hard.
I think I would too. And I think I have a kind of a communal spirit, so I want everyone to eat. But I don't know, Survivor, you become a different person, I feel like, when you're a Survivor player. So we want to know what Joanne and Stacey, what you all think, and also the Survivor fans.
Yes.
Would you sit out, yes or no? That's our question. Yeah. So where do you think Tika's at now?
Tika is, another person who voted out Jam Jam, or who put his name down, got voted out. So it's definitely the curse of Jam Jam.
The curse of Jam Jam.
Yes. And Carolyn's kind of a wild card. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what she's gonna do.
Never know.
I don't know. I'm still into Carson though. I mean, he's my USB, so of course. But I feel like he's kind of running things, but kind of from the back seat. And so he's maneuvering people, but he's kind of going under the radar. Maybe his illness kind of helped him to seem extra weak and incapable, so that no one thinks he's a threat. I don't know. Who do you think's gonna go out next week?
Maybe Jamie.
But Jamie again.
Yeah.
But Jamie again. I might do that too. That's what I had this week. I might just let her roll over. I have no idea, but we'll see. We'll have fun watching.
Yes.
Thanks, Joanne and Stacey.
Aloha.
Thanks, Jade-n-Christine.
Definitely, I would sit out if I thought it was something that I couldn't do well. Absolutely. But what I think you have to realize is that you hope it might gain you a little bit of favor with the people that you were willing to sit out.
Absolutely does not.
But it never will.
Never has.
Never
Even before
has.
Angelina.
Never will.
She did a great little self-deprecating reference on Twitter this week, I think. Angelina, remember what a great negotiator she was, and how she was always telling everyone how humbly she did this thing for them. But she made fun of herself in the process.
Well, good for her.
At the same time claiming she had changed the course of the game, where now Probst is offering to negotiate instead of having the castaways come in and do that. It was funny. Good stuff. Would I sit out? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I would take great delight in being the one person that kept the whole tribe from getting the rice, if I could. I wouldn't gloat.
So you would be Danny?
I wouldn't do what he did. I wouldn't be open about it. I would just say, just play the fear card, whatever. No, I feel like I really absolutely have to do that, because everyone can relate to that part.
Yeah.
And everyone gets uneasy. They're unsure of where they stand, and therefore they need to compete. But I would like it to, because if I had that opportunity, I want to think that I've been working on myself so that I could manage the going without food better than perhaps my tribe mates, my fellow castaways. So I would want to keep pushing that. Probst says what happens is that he just ups the ante. He offers again the next time now, but it would take 5 people now instead of 4 to do it. But I would not, even if I didn't feel like I could do it, I would still want to get in there, because you never know when someone who looks like a ringer could slip up, especially with a challenge like that. There's a lot of opportunity to make a mistake with that challenge in particular. So you just got to outlast the people near you. Thanks, Jade-n-Christine. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacey, I've come to the conclusion that survivors develop Stockholm Syndrome. Why else would they be happy when the person starving them makes them overpay for a small amount of food? That's an excellent point. I bet you could actually get Probst on that too. No one's really challenged him on that, but that's something to actually consider in future seasons. My other observations: bucket list item number 1, Danny successfully played a hidden immunity idol. Would you want the fate of the world to rest in the hands of Agent 000? Absolutely not. He's talking about Jam Jam, who couldn't remember 007, probably due to lack of food, calling him 000. In D&D, players band together against a common enemy for riches. Sound familiar? Is Jam Jam running the game, or do others go with his picks to manage his paranoia? That's another perspective on it. Danny's ratio of time spent searching for idols versus gathering firewood is 1 to 5. A 1 in 6 chance. Sounds like a shot in the dark to me. Kane said in his exit interviews that he was also going out doing the same thing Danny was, searching. Can you believe that? Until Tribal, Jamie still had her idol. Bucket list item number 2, Heidi finds a hidden immunity idol. If they'd played I Spy later in the episode, F might have been for food. This week's regional accent moment, Carolyn makes an S of herself. I read that differently than he intended, I think. Is it me, or did Jam Jam's talk sound like Pac-Man eating? It did kind of sound like the Waka Waka. Compared to battling addiction, Survivor should be a walk in the park for Carolyn. If Liar Liar Pants on Fire is a real thing, Danny's lucky that he's a firefighter. Carolyn likes having a Halloween house. I didn't see her as a white picket fence gal. Definitely not. Lauren and Jamie would have been safe from knowledge is power if they'd swapped trinkets. Franny wants to be more like Carolyn. I hope Matt likes big flower tattoos. Oh. If honorless Danny was a scout, Pearl Island's Lil would have shown up to kick him out. Carolyn's seeming confusion is this season's method of hiding in plain sight. Kane wanted to be part of a vote out. The Survivor gods granted his wish. Will Danny earn dingbat music by relentlessly searching for Jamie's fake idol? Stacy wants to drop Ahsoka. Ahsoka. He mustn't be a Star Wars fan. Okay. Carolyn and Jam Jam climbed the rock to make the tribe overlook the Three Stooges' threat. Note to Danny, a true strategic player would encourage challenge sit-outs. I'm not a fan of Fijian rolling pins. They're probably awkward with balls of dough, too. That would be hard to roll something out with that rolling pin. That's true. Franny feels good crushing guys. Matt had better mind his manners. Kane was always on the wrong side of the vote. He left with his streak intact. I'm with Carolyn. It wouldn't be Survivor without sneakiness. Carson wants to keep Tika together and run the game. I want to be president. Rice changes people. In Jam Jam's case, it makes him even more paranoid. My high school history classes were deficient. I didn't know Fiji had armored knights. I wonder how Kane feels now about sitting out for Rice. Jamie picks up what's put down. Right now, she's picking up the pieces of her game. Kane likes chaos. Personally, I had him pegged as lawful neutral. Survivor is like a car. Sometimes you drive, sometimes you ride. You just don't get run over. I'm with Jam Jam. I can't follow the show without subtitles either. We have it on when we watch for sure because you can't tell what people are saying most of the time. Next time, the Alliance era is over. Carolyn thinks Soka are stupid and Danny wants to strike. Are the firemen in Fiji unionized? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanna and Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thanks, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. Hello, Survivor friends. Jeremiah here with some feedback for this week's episode, and I thought it was a very interesting episode. I really sold myself that this week it was going to be Danny's time, but obviously that did not happen. They went with Kane, which, okay, whatever. Yeah, since I put all my eggs in the basket of Danny going home, I made a lot of bold moves, Stacy. You'd be so proud of me. I had Jamie and Franny safe, and I think I even had Lauren safe. I went real bold, but not because of any other reason other than the fact that I've handled my safe picks very poorly. But when you look at the next time on Survivor, I do think that we may have a battle between Soka and Tika. At least that's kind of what I'm wondering we're headed towards. We had that moment where Franny started talking about how she wanted to target the Tika 3 because they're in the middle, and boy, that just showed me how smart she is. She is definitely one of the better players playing the game. That was really a direction that they should have considered going. Maybe it would have been too early. I don't know. It's hard to say. My wife thinks that it would have been dumb for them to do it now, but this will be the week coming up. So I do think one of those Tikas could be in trouble. So I'm going for one of them to either go home or most likely be Danny. I might shoot my pick for Danny once again, but we'll see how it goes. But it was a bummer we didn't get a payoff with that fake idol. Oh well. I want to close my feedback with something of a little bit of a gripe. In fact, Jeff Probst did briefly mention this subject on his podcast this week. And that is this whole idea of not giving them enough rice and then basically starving them to the point where they have them force them to make a decision on whether or not they want people to sit so they can get the food. Why are we doing this? Okay, I know why. But the thing is, it's not good television. It's not fun, Jeff. You know, he's so stuck on this whole thing of, is it fun? No. You know what would be fun, Jeff? Is have these people have enough energy in their system, enough calories in their system to where they're able to think straight and be able to make really cool big moves. I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels this way, but I would rather have them have this opportunity to stay fed and play good gameplay. That, to me, is way more exciting and fun to watch than just seeing if they will make the decision to sit out or not. There's other things you can tease them with if you want to, Jeff. Not the food. Come on. All right, well, that's the end of my gripe. And I've already made my prediction, so I guess I'll close it out. Hopefully everyone is having a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you guys next week.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Absolutely a common theme this week.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if Tika and Soka
square off,
yeah. But I do think I'm with Jeremiah's wife. I think Rachel was correct in that was a week too early last week. I don't think that Franny, I think it's too soon to have done that. But this week, yes.
Well, they're the ones with 3 left in their alliance at this point. So for sure, we could potentially get a big idol showdown. That could be interesting.
Why would Jamie and Lauren work with Soka instead of Tika? They're all physically stronger and able to beat them. Tika has not won any challenges. And so why would they go with the strongest 3?
Wouldn't they feel more betrayed by the Tika that turned on them and voted Kane out? It's interesting dynamic. You could get a push-pull in both directions.
Yeah, you could, but still, they would have a better chance of winning once you got the stronger people out against Tika than they would Soka, for sure.
Maybe. Certainly, Lauren's already proved herself as one of the stronger ones, depending on the challenge.
Yeah, who couldn't she beat out of that group? Carolyn, Carson, and Jam Jam.
You're talking about
if the other 3, if Soka was out of the game, if they voted those 3 out, and it was just Tika and the 2 girls that from Ratu, Lauren would be one of the stronger people in the challenges.
She is even right now.
Well, yeah. So
her and Franny are ones that have won immunity.
Well, true, but I doubt in a lot of the challenges she could really go up against Franny and Danny as easily.
She's already beaten Danny.
I know she has.
It just depends on the challenge.
It just depends on the challenge. She has a better chance if they're not the one she's competing against, was my point.
Maybe.
Okay, anyway, that's just...
Could be. Thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. Well, this was another great episode of Survivor, and here are my thoughts. Lauren does not like to lose, and she does not like to look like she doesn't know what's going on. And I think she was playing a little bit of revisionist history there in terms of, like, not splitting the vote. I think they all made the decision together, and it didn't happen, and she got burned by it. I think Jam Jam made a great play by voting with Ratu. It kind of still masks his real intentions in the game, so good on him. I liked Kane's attitude. I feel like he's not a whiner, but I also feel like, I don't think we really got to know him so well. So, bye Kane, gone too soon. So Heidi ends up finding the idol. We'll see if she can keep it a secret. And I really loved Carolyn's comments on the game. I liked the downtime that we saw, connecting with people. I love her story. I love her perspective on the game, her perspective on life, and I like her strategy. Poor Carson is miserable. He was so hungry. I thought he was going to cry. And I don't like these challenges where they barter their chance at safety for food. I wish they would stop doing that and bring back the Survivor auction. I would love to see the Survivor auction again. I just want to make a note of the fact that every single week I put in my notes the words, "Shut up, Jeff." He drives me crazy the way he talks through challenges. And I know he does that on purpose. He loves the uncomfortability that it causes, but, shut up, Jeff. I'm not a big Danny fan, but Danny gives every minute of this game his all. And I was really hoping they didn't vote him out that night, which they didn't, thank God. But I'm really enjoying watching him play. He's not my favorite to win, but he's a Survivor player, and he's playing the game hard, and I gotta appreciate that. And on a final note to my quick feedback, there was Jeff's snuffer again, this time in a slow-mo hype reel. I loved it. And Kane just left the game with Jamie's fake idol. We actually had a double advantage fizzle today. Well, one fake advantage. The idol left the game without being played, so there was no payoff there. And the extra vote was played to no advantage. I don't know, there have been a lot of advantages and a lot of hype for things, and they all just seem to fizzle out. Danny's the only payoff we've had this season, in my opinion. That's it for me. Can't wait to hear everyone else's thoughts. Till next week. Bye.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, that Danny's play was huge, and of course, Franny separated herself from that a little bit by winning yet another individual immunity, so she's not under the shadow of Danny's play as much. But I just started thinking about it when we were talking after Jeremiah's feedback that we have the makings of another great idol showdown. We could see Carolyn and Heidi play idols for either themselves or for other people, and we could be blindsided by the results because of that. It could go in a direction nobody intended in that very case. And yeah, like Jen was just saying, Danny's idol, birdcage idol, really paid off. And
well, and Jen, I don't believe that Jam Jam did vote with Ratu. He did vote for Kane.
Right. Yeah, I believe that's the case also.
Because I think I remember writing that down, that all three of the Tikas voted Kane as well. So they've kind of
could be some resentment. Could definitely be some blowback from Jamie and Lauren on that.
Could be, but I don't think they have. I guess they do have somewhere to go, maybe, if the others want to work with them. But so the hurt feelings might play into it. But again, there's always the possibility of the Women's Alliance.
Yeah.
But that's not worked out a lot of the time, so I won't hold my breath for that. But hey, it's an option.
The potential exists for sure.
It does.
Thanks again, Jen. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here, and I feel the need to talk about Carolyn a bit. This game has so become her possible win so much that I feel that the opening scene to the season might have actually been misdirection. Somehow over the course of, 9 episodes, she's become a person rather than a character, or caricature. She's much more evenly balanced, she's making good decisions, but if she wins, what are we going to be saying about how it was all presented to us from the start? Still, at this point in time, I'm going to be fine if she wins. However, when she told us in this episode that she promised her son that she wouldn't hold anything back, well, I think that kind of goes against what she said earlier on in the season when I'd swear she told us that her son wanted her to hold some of it back. And yet, I do believe she's actually been towing the line there pretty well, because when she goes over it, she's been stepping back again, and possibly even vice versa. So anyway, call me a masochist, but I love rain challenges. It toughens things up considerably, and there's the bonus for the people that drop out early that the challenge probably won't run on for 8 hours or so, and I'll bet Jeff likes that too. The rain certainly changed a lot of minds when everyone got to the challenge, and Carson, well, he may be feeling better, but he certainly doesn't look recovered to me. All of that cookie tossing certainly has him far weaker than he should be at this point. And seeing him all worn out and soaking wet from the rain just made him look like a 12-year-old sitting there on the bench. Interestingly enough, though, when the challenge was over and we got back to camp, the rain had completely stopped. Talk about timing, huh? Now, I said last week that I was sticking to my guns and picking Danny to go. And I did that. And even during Tribal, I honestly thought there was a good chance that I was going to get that vote off point. But somehow Jam and Carson did the smart thing and kept after Ratu. Honestly, though, I won't be missing Kane. I sort of view him as a straight version of Jam Jam, someone who thinks that they have more importance to their season than they actually have. But I will admit that I thought I saw Kane improve as time went by, especially in the challenges. I'll just never be able to forget the great sword fighter crawling on his hands and knees like a toddler across that balance portion of the one challenge. So, Jam, I might like him better if he'd stop with the whole "you wrote my name down and now you're gone" spiel. I never warmed up to Jam, and I don't think I ever will. However, I've got to say that Danny is just getting way too cocky for his own idolist britches out there, and that's why I'm picking him to go again this week. The more we see of him, the more I feel that there's something off-putting about him. There's an arrogance, an insolence, just attitude in general that he shouldn't be putting out there on such display. In particular, I'm talking about owning up to the Boy Scout lie. When he fessed up to the lie, he had that arrogance around him, as if to say, "So what are you all going to do about it?" I mean, there were other points where I wish he'd keep his mouth closed also, but I really felt that it was a mistake to act all, "I'm playing the game so hard," when he had no safety net whatsoever. Yeah, Danny to go this week for me. And lastly, I want to point out that there are 5 women in the game and only 3 men. There's opportunity here that you rarely see happen in Survivor, but in all honesty, I don't think anyone's noticed. But if we lose Danny this week, then Carson and Jem are going to have to realize that they need some kind of protection to move ahead to avoid getting picked off. I'd love to see all women in the final 5. And although I have Heidi as my USB, at this point in time, I think I want Franny for the win. And I guess that's it for me. Everyone take care. Bye.
Thanks, Paul. There doesn't seem to be any inkling of a discussion around a female alliance at this point.
Not that we've heard, though Jamie and Lauren might be scrambling for any idea anybody would join.
Yeah, definitely. I would, if I were them, I would be approaching others to try to find that. It's going to be interesting to watch their reaction. Are they going to be able to bounce back like Franny did when they get thrown a huge curve like this, where they go from on top to on bottom just in one tribal council? Well, I guess 2, but they've lost everything that they've had at this point, and it's just them, and we haven't seen them being strong partners or working together in any significant way or heard anyone reference them in that context. Both the people they were most aligned with are out in the last 2 tribal councils.
Well, I do think that even though Danny is my USB, I do think it would be smartest for them to target Danny and Franny. They're the challenge beasts. They should get rid of them. All of the rest of them should want to get rid of those 2.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I pause a little is that Danny's not delivering when it comes to that.
He would if they got rid of Franny, maybe.
Maybe. Lauren's already beat him in a head-to-head, so.
Well, yeah, so he knows she can.
Yeah, and we don't know really. Well, I think we're pretty clear on Carolyn's ability at this point. If it's some diminished form of a challenge, and sometimes they're variations that require lesser abilities as they get towards the end, she might be able to win one. It doesn't seem likely at this point.
Or she's been faking it all this time, and she's going to turn into her beast mode.
Do you think they would
the end?
They would buy that if she presented that as part of her case at the?
Not unless she played it out. Not if she started.
She'd have to deliver at some point, right?
Yeah. At some point, she'd have to start winning individual immunity, and just rule it, and then she could go, "Hey, I played it down the whole time. It was all part of my strategy."
I do think that sitting on the idols can backfire on you too.
Yeah.
The people in your alliance are going to turn to you at some point and go, "Wait a minute, you had that. You could have protected me. You could have protected our, we could have made so many different moves with that, and yet you sat on it."
But obviously, you didn't really need it, did you? You're still here.
It's not theirs to make the decision with
That's
either.
right.
But it doesn't mean just because you hold it and don't use it, because you were never really threatened to begin with, that it's going to play in your favor.
Carolyn's been threatened. Even with Heidi, I'm not sure I wouldn't have played it for myself last week or this week. I think
nobody was really targeting her, though.
Well,
she got votes,
she
obviously.
Didn't know that. I mean, she got 3 votes, so.
I can't figure out. I thought we were going to get this other story with her where she and Danny were in this strategic alliance. They're always running stuff by each other, and I was hoping we were going to see a stronger game from her, but she's kind of fumbled. When she fumbled the whole deal with telling Lauren who to vote for, and so I don't necessarily have high hopes for her at this point.
Well, I think she has played some good game.
I don't think that we will see a women's alliance. There's such strong independent women here who all think that they're doing really well on their own, that I'm not sure that any of them are going to think they need the others to get to the end, and that they need to go for something like that. I won't be surprised to see another guy go next, whether it's Danny or Jam. I don't think Carson's on anybody's radar, so he is completely under the radar at this stage.
He seems to be, but like I said, I think when you look at the roster, Danny and Franny are just the ones that are flashing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, target here, target.
I agree with what other people said. Danny seems to have gotten the big head with that blindside play against Brandyn. It's given him some kind of confidence, or he's... I don't know why you would push that kind of bravado like that.
Well, even the not wanting other people to sit out for the challenge. It's like, well, but that's their decision. You make your decision, we'll make ours.
Mm-hmm.
But, but he was just encouraging them, I guess. But let's don't do that. But they ignored him, of course. But it might not have won him any points.
So he made a big play, but he's not adding to that. As a matter of fact, he's kind of detracting from his case at this point.
Well, and obviously Franny caved and didn't go after Tika on her own, but she might not be happy that, she went Danny's way. She might want to form some other alliances for people that will hear her.
Yeah, maybe. I'm with the folks who said, yeah, let's finish. Let's get things on an even keel. I thought what Danny said made a lot of sense in terms of risk management. Ratu still was the bigger threat.
I absolutely agree. I think he was absolutely correct.
It doesn't mean that Franny was wrong or that she was robbed and not pursuing it.
Right.
She's accurately recognizing the threat. Kane said he was on board to consider that too, but they had done such a good job of convincing him that they were with the Ratu that he didn't put any extra thought into it from that perspective.
Yeah, and it could be their week to get turned on. Like you said, if the Ratu people are angry with Tika, then why wouldn't they join up with SoCal? Old SoCal.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's been interesting to see the tribal lines have such a strong impact, significant impact on the game this late into the game.
Yes, very much so. I mean, usually they start scrambling just on their own, but they really have kind of kept the lines
stuck to
together.
those lines. I guess that's a tribute to the Tika folks pretending to side with Ratu, and then they made it a 2-2 thing instead of hey, let's find our way individually going forward. They kept those two original tribes pitted against each other.
Yeah, and Carolyn didn't always vote with them, but I think that might have been by design too.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll find out one day for sure.
We'll see. I'm so disappointed that we got no payoff with Jamie. I can't imagine that there's anything they could do to make up for that misdirection in editing that they've done with her this season.
Well, I've only thought of a couple things, and that is if she should, or anyone should find Brandon's hidden idol, and they still get to play that out. And it would be ironic if it was Jamie that found it. And
it would be hilarious. If she didn't remember it the way Kane did.
Yeah. And so I guess that could be a payoff, but she probably would.
You had another idea that you thought might be a way to come back to it that was even better.
Oh, do you want me to share that?
Sure.
Well, my thought was because of Probst and his TV moments, that And they made such a big deal of this that something will come out about it, even if it's at the reunion show, the after show, where Probst ends up telling everyone that was a fake.
Yeah.
Because
maybe that's some way to...
If they're still talking about it and going on about it, Probst is going to bring it up and go, well, I got to tell you, Jamie, you didn't know this, but that was a fake idol that Matthew planted for you, or something like that. So.
Maybe that's a way to get a little payoff, but it's still not.
Yeah, I don't know that they will, but it's an idea.
I'd say they fumbled this.
It's an idea, Probst.
They fumbled this so hard. It's still bugging me.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they did play it up so much. I just don't know why they...
All those little... of the small amount they showed of her, it was her bragging about how great she was doing and her invisible wand and the ding and all these things that she knew and how in control and all this stuff.
The way they started out the show with Carolyn and all the speculation about it and all that. So if she sizzles out and doesn't even make it to Final Three...
Sizzles or fizzles? Fizzles?
Whatever.
Okay.
And,
I wasn't sure what your intent was, what you're trying to
Well,
convey.
if she doesn't make it to Final Three...
Okay.
Let's be clear.
I'd call that a fizzle.
Okay. Whatever. And that's not going to be payoff either. It's going to be like, well, I spent a lot of brain power thinking about that.
But you can understand it now, and it's just the pursuit of a TV moment.
Yes.
And they had the editor that made that decision on when they were talking about the what goes into the editing, and talked about that a little bit. They're just so proud to be able to do.
This from the guy who can't let things go.
Okay, I'm not sure how that had any bearing on what I was saying, but you confused me. They had the editor on.
I can let that go. You can understand.
In terms of a TV moment, they were just trying to make yet another TV moment. Here's this goofy, wacky person. So, ta-da!
Whew, all right. Anything else that we haven't talked to death?
No, but I do want to thank everybody who wrote in and called in and recorded audio and sent it. And it's great to hear from someone who's been there since 2006, silently enjoying and then sharing that perspective. Thanks, Liam. That was great.
And if you play in JSFL, don't forget to make your Week 10 picks for one person voted off and 4 people who you think will still be safe at the end of the episode.
We're looking forward to the next episode.
All right. We'll see you back here on Wednesday with our next recap.
Have a good one.